happy holidays. I hope you're enjoying the season, you're having a good time with friends, family, maybe you're just relaxing, whatever you prefer to do. I hope it is a lovely week. Clearly, I'm not in LA. I'm home sweet home in New York yet again, celebrating the holidays with my family. So you are getting some box office predictions on the go. It's going to be a little bit of a shorter video for that reason. Let's jump into it with the Fantasy Movie League recap. We had 10 players in the predictions with Perri League. Get that perfect lineup. You can see their names on the screen right now. All 10 of these players are closing out the year strong. As for my top 5 from last week, had some hits and misses in the mix there. Kicking it off with Star Wars, of course. Going low on Rise of Skywalker was the right move after all, but it was even lower than I expected. It made $177.4 million total for its opening weekend. Then I was pretty close on Jumanji: The Next Level, which had a solid hold, even with Star Wars entering the competition. That one made another $26.5 million. Then it was actually Frozen 2 at number 3 with another $13 million, a very nice number there on a minimal 31.9% drop. Then it was Cats, which pretty much crashed and burned at the box office, only managing to make $6.6 million for its first weekend in theaters. And finally, it was Knives Out at number 5, not Bombshell. Knives Out enjoyed another small decline, this time just 28.8%, and it made another $6.5 million, which easily beat Bombshell's grand total of $5.1 million for its first weekend in wide release. Rolling into the new round of predictions with number 5. Admittedly, I was kind of tempted to put Knives Out here just because I think it's doing well and I'm really rooting for it, but I have to go with newcomer Spies in Disguise. So with this one, I believe I saw projections of something like $20 million, which I do not think is going to happen, especially when you hear how well I think Frozen 2 is going to do this weekend. Just no chance. If anything, maybe this one is gonna line up with the movie Ferdinand and what it made right about this time last year, which would mean I'm giving Spies in Disguise an opening weekend total of $11 million. And speaking of Frozen 2, this is exactly where I have it. Frozen 2 taking the number 4 spot this weekend. It is a very good time to be Frozen 2. Looking at Mary Poppins Returns is a good comp right now. If I go back to this time last year, it had a 20% boost in profits, and I think that Frozen 2 can achieve the same thing, even though it's much further along in its run than Mary Poppins was, especially when you remember the fact that right around this time in the first Frozen movie's run, it wound up seeing a 45.6% uptick. That is huge. I don't think that's going to happen because that one had less competition, but a 20% boost sounds really possible, and if that's what happens, Frozen 2 is making another $16 million this weekend. Now we're moving on to number 3, and this is where I have another one of our newcomers for the weekend. It's Little Women. Apparently Sony is predicting within the range of $16 to $17 million for this movie, but I'm starting to think that it could go a little higher than that. And the comp that I looked at here was the movie Joy, which opened up with about $17 million right around this time of year in 2015, and at that point it did have a little bit of awards buzz. It didn't really pan out all that much, but it did. So if I take into account the bigger awards buzz for Little Women, the fact that it's got rave reviews, and then on top of that, it's just really good counter programming right about now, I want to take that $17 million that Joy made, bring it up a little bit, and the number I feel comfortable with on this one is $20 million for its opening weekend. We have now hit the number 2 position, and I'm giving it right back to Jumanji: The Next Level. I also think it's a really good time to be a Jumanji movie, and when we look at that 55.3% drop from last week, and even with a Star Wars movie hitting theaters, that's really great. And just wait until you see what happens to that percent change this time around. It is coming down, no doubt. I can look back at that first Jumanji movie, or the second, however you want to count them. Jumanji: Welcome to the Jungle. Right around this time of year, it wound up seeing a very big boost in 2017, a 38.4% boost. I think that number is too high for Jumanji: The Next Level for a number of reasons. Like, let's say, The Next Level is going into weekend 3 right about now, whereas this time of year, Welcome to the Jungle was only going into weekend 2 of release. And then on top of that, you got to consider where New Year's Day fell on the calendar. I think that was a little more beneficial to Welcome to the Jungle. So with that all in mind, let's just say I take that 38.4% boost that Welcome to the Jungle saw and subtract that amount from Next Level's 55.3% drop from last weekend. I come in with about a 17% loss, which is still really good for the movie. movie, and that would mean it's making another $22 million. And now we have hit the #1 spot, and of course, this one is going to Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. We all figured this would stay on top again, but now the question is, how much is it going to lose weekend 2? What are the movie's legs going to look like? And I do know that this movie opened well under Last Jedi, but I do have to go right back to that to try to figure out what kind of numbers we could be working with this time around. And weekend 2 of Last Jedi's release, again, right around the same time of year, it dropped 67.5%. That is a very, very big number, but I think the number's coming down because Rise of Skywalker has a good deal less to lose, and on top of that, reports are confirming that Rise of Skywalker wound up beating The Last Jedi's Christmas Day earnings. So I think a lot of this is going to work in Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker's favor for the 3-day weekend. So let's say I take that 67.5% drop, bring it down to 50% feels right to me. That would still mean the movie is making another $88 million. Alrighty, let's recap these predictions now for the 3-day weekend. I have Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker taking the top spot with $88 million, Jumanji: The Next Level making another $22 million, then Little Women opening up at #3 with $20 million, followed by Frozen 2 at #4 with another $16 million, and then Spies in Disguise opening up in the 5 spot with $11 million. That's it for me. It is your turn now. Hit the comment section below. Tell me what you think. It's the last weekend of the box office of 2019, so I gotta know your rankings too. This has been a great time this year, so big thanks to all of you out there who have been following all year long and who have been chiming in on the comments. I do look at them, and a lot of you guys are really good at this game. And if you are good at this game, go over to Fantasy Movie League. Sign up for the Predictions with Perri League. All the info on how to do that is in the description section of this video. Also in the description section of the video is the link to the Patreon campaign. You know what you get? If you sign up for a Patreon tier, you get something like this, a shout out. I've got a whole bunch of very special names to read off, including Evan, Luke, Billy, Ian, and Caleb. Those 5 right there are some of my top tier members. I know them very well. We've been G-chatting for a long time now, and just know how highly I think of all you guys. Really, it's been such a pleasure getting to know you, and I greatly appreciate the continued support. Big thanks again to everybody out there watching this video. Please like and share this one, and see you in 2020 with more box office predictions.